All right, this is 7.1.1 compound conditionals. All right, so we're going to go through these checkpoints. All right, and then after you view this video, then I encourage you to go back into CMU on your own and complete these checkpoints. All right, so sometimes the test of an if statement can be a simple comparison, right? Which is what we've used so far, like x is less than 10 or is happy is equal to true, right? But other times we need tests that are a little bit more complex, right? We need to concern ourselves with multiple things, right? So, for instance, e- maybe an ice cream cone on the canvas should be melting, but if it is summer and sunny at the same time, right? And so then we need to check whether is summer is true and is sunny is true, right? And we need to do this in the same test, right? So what we're going to do is we are going to use these compound conditionals where we have one statement that we want to determine whether it's true and another statement, and we only want to do something when both of those things are true. All right. And so there are three keywords that we're going to be using here. They are and, they are or, and not. All right. And so these are protected words. These are key words that will change color when you use them in the environment, right? So you'll see here, all right, we have this code here. It says there's going to be a label, compound conditionals demo, right? And then down here it says on mouse press, if x is greater than 200 and y is greater than 200, draw a circle centered at x, y. So wherever you pressed, radius 30, fill light green. And then you're going to create a label called yes, and it's going to be at that location XY size 18. Okay, now else meaning what? Well, if X and Y, right, are not both greater than 200, right, then you're going to put a circle at the place that you clicked, right, size radius 30, fill with orange, and you're going to label it nope. All right. And so let's take a look at this. All right. So the first one says if x is greater than 200, remember, so that would be in the right half of the canvas. All right. And y is greater than 200. Okay. So if I click over here, right, x is greater than 200, but y is not greater than 200. So now I would have to click down here in order for that to be true. So if I do that, I click and I get a green circle that says yes. If I click over here, I get a green circle that says yes. Yes, right? All of these are going to be yeses because x is greater than 200 and y is greater than 200. But let's say I click up here, right? Where x is going to be greater than 200, but y is not greater than 200. What do I get? I get a nope. I get a nope. Now here, x is not greater than 200 and y is not greater than 200. Neither of them are greater than 200. Well, I'm going to get a nope, right? And then here, I'm also going to get a nope, right? So the key is that in the and situation, both of the tests need to be true, right? So x would have to be greater than 200 and has to be greater than 200 in order for it to be true. Okay, so now it's very important that we understand, okay, there are two logical tests here that we're doing. First was x greater than 200. The second was y is greater than 200, right? And so when we use an and, we require that both of those tests are true in order for the if to execute. All right. So let's take a look at this. In the previous example, where would we see green circled yes labels if we use y is less than 200 instead of y is greater than 200? All right, well, let's think. All right, let's go up here and instead of y greater than 200, let's change it to y is less than 200. So now if I run it, let's think y is less than 200. So what does that mean? Well, that would mean the top half, right? And x is greater than 200. So it would be in the top right that now would say yes, because now x is greater than 200 and y is less than 200. And that would mean that nope should appear in all of the other quadrants. All right, and so only in the top right should be our answer. All right, now the next one is or. All right, so we just saw how and make sure that both tests are true. Sometimes we just want to test to see if at least one test is true. So in this case, we're going to use an or. All right, so now let's take a look at this, right? The first lines 1 and 2 and 4 and 5 are the same, but now it says on mouse press, if x is greater than 200, or y is greater than 200. Then you're going to draw the circle with a yes. Otherwise, you're going to draw the circle with a nope. All right, so let's take a look at this. All right, so if x is greater than 200, what does that mean? That means the right half of the canvas. All right, or y is greater than 200, that means the bottom half of the canvas. So the or is saying what? It's saying if this is true, right, or this is true, right? But it could be that both of them are true. So let's click over here. You see this says yes. Why? Because x is greater than 200, right? What about if I click here? It says yes, because x is greater than 200 and y is greater than 200, right? But over here, well, what happens? We also get a yes. Why? Because y is greater than 200. So the key with the or is that this thing is going to be true overall if x is greater than 200, right? Or y is greater than 200, or both are greater than 200. Now, what about this top left here, where neither x is greater than 200 or y? Well, then we're going to get our nopes, right? Okay, so now look again at line 8. See how we're using or instead of and. Okay, now we have 3 spots, right, that are circled yes. All right, now I want you to think about this, inclusive or exclusive, okay? When we use the word or in everyday language, okay, there's 2 different ways that we use it. Sometimes there's an inclusive or. So say that there's a field trip today to see a robotic dancing competition, and the field trip is open to students in the robotics club or the dance club. Of course, if a student is in both clubs, they're certainly involved or invited. So here is where we're using or to mean either or both. This is an inclusive or. Exclusive or means say that today's lunch is grilled pizza, grilled cheese, or pizza. You can order whichever one you wish, but it's not okay to order both. Here we are using or to mean either but not both. This is an exclusive or. All right, so if we look at the code from the last example, okay, is Python's or inclusive or exclusive? Well, it turns out that it is inclusive, right? Because in the top right and bottom left, right, that's when only one of them was true, but in the bottom right is when they were both true. So it is an inclusive or. Okay, and so you do want to go ahead and read that. All right, now the last one that we're going to use is not. All right, and so we can use not in order to say, well, the opposite of whatever's in here. All right, so let's read this. Okay, lines 1 and 2 and 4 and 5 are the same, and now we have the on mouse press. If not this, x greater than 200 and y greater than 200, right? So now we're saying, okay, x is greater than 200 and y is greater than 200. So in the bottom right, that would be when this is true. So now we're saying if not true, right? So now let's see what happens, okay? So if I click down here, we're going to get nope. Why? Well, because that's when this thing was true, right? So now the not makes it false. And so the else is going to execute and we're going to get the nope. Okay, but now what happens when I click here? I get yes. What happens when I click here? I get yes. What happens when I click here? I get yes. I get yeses in all of these spots. Why? Because all of those spots are when this thing would execute to false, right? Because x is not greater than 200, right? And y is not greater than 200, right? So we're saying if x is greater than 200 and y is greater than 200, then this thing is true. The not is going to make it false, which is going to mean that the else is going to execute. All right, so now it's important to remember the not does the opposite of what it would have done without the not. Since the original test was only true in the bottom right by using the not, now we're making the bottom right the only place that it's false. Okay. Now you can also use the not to toggle. So if you look at this, right, if we run this, okay, it says press the mouse to toggle the circle's visibility. So if I press, now it makes it invisible, then it makes it visible, then it makes it invisible, and then visible and invisible, right? And so you see on line 7, it says c.visible equals not c.visible. So whatever the property of visible happens to be, then the not is going to switch it, right? So if C dot visible is false, then the not will make it true. And if it's true, the not will make it false. Okay, checkpoint number 2. Which of the following is not logically the same as x greater than or equal to 5? So remember, x greater than or equal to 5 means 5, 6, 7, and so on, right? So now let's read this. X is greater than 5 and x is equal to 5. This one, x and 5 are just switched. So if I read this right, it should say x is greater than 5 or x is equal to 5. X is greater than 5 or x is equal to 5. And this says not x is less than 5. All right, so you got to think. X is greater than or equal to 5. Well, that means 5, 6, 7, right? And so on. So x is greater than 5. Well, that would mean 6, 7, 8, right? And x equals 5. Well, this actually cannot even be true, right? Because something can't be both greater than 5 and equal to 5, right? So it looks like this is our answer. But let's make sure we understand these other ones. This one, x is greater than 5 and x is, or x is equal to 5, right? That's what this says. X is greater than or equal to 5. This just reverses the x and the 5. But now what about this? X is less than 5, right? Then it says not. So not x is less than 5. So less than 5 would mean 4, 3, 2, 1. But now it says not those. So that would mean 5, 6, 7, 8, and so on. All right. So it looks like this first one is our answer. Okay. Now, a couple things to note, which we will be talking about more in the future. The AP exam is going to use and, but it's just going to be all caps and or all caps and not all caps, right? These are all Boolean values, right? Boolean means either true or false. All right. So go ahead and try the 7.1.1 checkpoints and then we're going to move on to the next one.